Welcome back to my channel, YouTube viewers. I'm Sweet Tips. This is part 4 of the jeweler's filings and clippings video. And there's some grumbling going on about the length of this process, and I've got to agree with you. It's been a long one. It's been a hard one. And I'll be glad when it's over as well. So without any further delay, let's get started. Part 4 of the jeweler's filings and clippings. Everything's just like we left it. Here's our solution that has the gold precipitated out. This is from the filings. It's going to have some platinum in the waste solution. The gold is down here. We're going to filter the gold powder out of this solution and concentrate the gold. Put it in with the rest of the gold that we've already recovered back here, and try to concentrate these values so we can get a final yield. But first, here's a shot of the jeweler's files. You can see that abrasive material in there. These were the filings. All the gold has been extracted from here, and we've got it in here and got it precipitated out. So I just wanted to give you a shot of this scrap, this residue that's left over from that process. Alright, my waste is all backed up on me here. This is my waste treatment bucket full of iron, and the copper solutions go in here. As you can see, it's full. So what I'm going to do here is drain some of this out. Okay, I hate to have to make the video longer than it has to be, but this is part of the total process here. You can't just pour this waste down the drain. It has to be treated. Alright, this is my waste treatment bucket here. It's full of an acidic iron solution. I pour my copper solutions in here. The copper cements out. This is a tube full of water. I'm siphoning it down into a waste bucket down below here. So we can treat this with sodium hydroxide. There's the bucket down there that I'm siphoning the liquid off into. Can you see that? Let's see here. And in here, inside my actual waste treatment bucket, it's full of pieces of iron, and the copper has cemented out onto the iron, falls to the bottom of the bucket. Here's what's left in the waste treatment bucket. These are pieces of iron. This is the copper that came out of solution. It cements out onto the iron. The iron goes into solution. The iron ends up down here in this bucket, and then I'll treat this with sodium hydroxide to drop the iron out of solution as it's hydroxide, and we'll filter it out and dispose of it after it's been completely neutralized to a pH of 9. Alright, the copper in here, someone asked, do I refine it? And the answer is no. I don't have the time to try to refine the copper, so what I do I just end up throwing it away. Here is my stock pot. My gold refining waste in it. What I'm going to do now, it's full of copper. What I'm going to do now is siphon the copper solution out of here down into the bucket that's got pieces of iron in it, so that reaction can happen. We get the copper out of the solution, and then we can put some more waste in my stock pot in here. Okay, here's my stock pot. All the precious metals have been cemented out of the stock pot on the copper in here. Now I'm going to take this acidic copper solution, transfer it down into my waste treatment bucket that's full of iron, and we'll cement the copper out of this solution onto the iron down here. It's just a tube full of water. I'm going to siphon it out of this bucket now, down into my waste treatment bucket. Gotta be careful not to get any of the solids up out of your stock pot bucket here. Those solids are going to contain precious metals, platinum group metals, some gold. Okay, here's my stock pot. Here's a look inside of here. That's a coil of copper wire, or copper tubing rather, in there. And what I'm going to do now is take the waste from the jeweler's filings and clippings that had platinum in it right here. Let me pull this back a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. This is the waste from the jeweler's filings that has the gold dropped out of it. There's platinum in this solution. I want to recover that platinum, but there's not enough to try to make a refining out of it. So what I'm going to do is just add this platinum solution with a trace amount of platinum in it to my stock pot. In the stock pot that's full of copper, this is the stock pot, it's full of copper, and the platinum group metals will cement out on that copper as a black mud. And then later on down the line, I'll go in there and we'll recover those platinum group metals and then the other precious metals that cement out in the stock pot here. Alright, here is our gold from the jeweler's filings down at the bottom of the beaker there. This is the waste, the copper in solution from where we cemented the silver out of the jeweler's filings and clippings with copper. There's nothing in this. I've tested it with stannous. There's nothing in this. There's no solids. Any solids that are in here is just waste material. This is going to go in my waste treatment bucket now on to the iron to get cemented out. Alright, I've got some silver here that I cemented out with copper. This is a waste solution in this beaker up here. So this is not part of this refining, the jeweler's waste. This is something else, but I want to get this blue liquid that's full of copper down into my waste treatment bucket. So I got a tube full of water here. I'm going to siphon it off now down into the bucket, my waste treatment bucket that's full of iron. The copper in these solutions will cement out on that iron, and then what I'll end up with in the bucket is iron in solution. I gotta tell you, trying to shoot this on video, get everything captured, makes my hobby seem more and more like work here lately. It's supposed to be my hobby and be fun, but shooting these videos takes a lot of work and effort here. Alright, here's the bottle that we had the copper waste in that we used to cement out the jeweler's silver. I added that to my waste treatment bucket. I added some of the copper solution that was on my cement silver here from a different refining and put that down here in my waste treatment bucket. Up here in my stock pot, I've added the gold refining waste that had a little bit of platinum metal in it. Here's the jeweler's gold out of that waste. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set my stock pot back down here, and usually what I do is I bubble air through it, but I'm not going to do that right now because it's full of SMB and that'll put fumes in my shop in here. I am going to cover up the waste treatment bucket, and I've got an air bubbler that I use here. I stick him down in the top, and I bubble air using an aquarium pump to keep some movement going on in there. And I realize this is going to make the video longer, but this is part of the process, man. You can't just take this waste and dump it down the drain. Alright, now that we've made some room for ourselves, got that waste out of our way off the top of the jeweler's gold, I'm going to take a filter paper here, and what we'll do is I like to use a fluted filter paper. Fold it in half. Fold it in half again. And fold it back like we're making a paper airplane here. Fold it back again on the other side. Then again. Turn it over, do the same thing on this side. And we open it up, fold it in on itself on both sides, like that. And then crease it together like that. And we got a perfect fan fold filter paper. Put that up here in our filter. And we'll filter the gold out of this now into this paper. Alright, let's get our gold out of this beaker and into this filter. Dampen it with a little bit of distilled water. Now we're going to take, let me get a spray bottle for this one. And we're going to get this gold down into this filter now. This is not going to be high purity gold here. This is going to be probably 99% pure. So we'll need to refine it again to get high purity. 3/9's fine. Alright, here's our gold that we got in our filter. I'm going to pour a little bit of hydrochloric acid in here to try to rinse some of the other dissolved metals off of it. Alright, I'm going to take our gold from back here now. And we're going to bring that up forward. We're going to put the, I got a little bit of hydrochloric down in here, so we'll pour this off into a waste container here. And now what we'll do is we're going to transfer our gold from the filings. This is the gold from the clippings. This is the gold from the filings. I'm going to combine those two now. And what we'll do is add some hydrochloric acid to it. About fill it up to about the 200 milliliter level here. And then we're going to take our silver solution still back here that we've got to get worked on. I'm going to set it aside for right now. Turn some heat on and put this gold back up on the heat and dissolve it and precipitate it one more time. Now what we'll do is add some sulfuric acid to this to precipitate out any lead that may be present. It's about a half a milliliter there. And we're going to put in about 3 doses of 3 milliliters of nitric acid here to form aqua regia in that beaker and dissolve the gold one more time. It's been on the heat now for about 5 minutes in the aqua regia. I'm going to pick it up here and see. Yeah, we still got some powder down there that needs to be dissolved. So what I'll do here is add another shot of nitric acid here. About 3 milliliters. Put that in. at this thing go. It's been on there about 10 minutes on high heat. And let's check down here. We still got a little bit of material that hasn't dissolved yet, so I'll add a few drops of nitric now. Get towards the end of this, just adding a few drops of nitric until all of the gold goes in solution. Just a few drops at a time here. It's been on here about 15 minutes now. Check the bottom. You see there I got a little bit of undissolved gold left in that solution. So I'm going to put it back down here on the heat. I'm going to get a little bit more nitric acid here. Not much, just maybe half an ml here. And I'm going to just drain it in on top of that gold. And that should dissolve the rest of it. By adding the nitric acid in small increments like this and adding just enough to just dissolve the gold, there won't be any excess nitric in my chlorhydric acid solution, so there will be no need to denox this solution. Denox means to remove excess nitric. I won't have to remove any excess nitric because there will be no excess nitric to remove. This has been on here now for about 20 minutes, and as you can see here, we've got everything in solution. There's a few little tiny specks that remain in there, but I'm not going to go throwing a whole bunch of nitric in there. It might just be dirt, but we're going to go ahead and pull this off the heat now and let it start cooling down so we can get a precipitation. I've got a filter flask set up here. What I'm going to do is add some ice cubes into our gold here to cool it down. These ice cubes are made from tap water. Watch out when you add those ice cubes. A little spot of gold here came out, so I just take a little piece of paper towel and wipe it up, and then I'll save this for another batch and just throw it in when I dissolve another batch. Got a number 3 slow flow filter in here. Put a little water on it, get it to seal up. We're pulling a vacuum over there now, so what we'll do is our solution's been cooled off here. We're going to go ahead and pour it through this filter. Try to get it cleared up a little bit here. We got most of this into the filter now. The solids will mainly be the filter paper that was in with the gold. It just kind of falls apart, and then we can filter it out at this stage here. Any lead that was precipitated when we added the sulfuric acid will also get precipitated out here, or filtered out rather. Alright, here we go. We've got the solution filtered now. I'm going to try to rinse all the color out of the filter. And there's still some junk in here. You can tell by the color of this material up here in the filter. But what we'll do is we'll transfer this solution into a beaker, precipitate the gold, and then I'm going to gather it up, put it in a melt dish, melt up a button so we can get a final yield. This is not going to be high purity gold. I've had experience with this kind of jeweler's waste. It's got stuff that follows the gold. It has jeweler's rouge that follows the gold. There's going to be some platinum group metals in here that's going to follow the gold. And the only way to get this gold high purity is to re-incord it with silver or copper and do a whole complete another refining. This has been my experience with this kind of material. So for this video, we're going to get this precipitated, get into a melt dish, get a button, and get a yield. Okay, everything's been pulled through the filter now. What we'll do is get the funnel off of here, rinse any gold off of it, down into our flask. Set this over here out of the way. Now we'll transfer the gold bearing solution into our beaker here. And then once we get it in here, I'm going to precipitate the gold here another time with some sodium metabisulfite. See if we can do this all in one take here. Alright, I got all the gold in there. Got some sodium metabisulfite here. And let's precipitate out our pure gold and see what kind of yield we're going to get here for the jeweler. He's wanting his money here. I don't blame him. I've had this since November. That's when my fume hood first broke down. And this is almost February. So, and I'm anxious to get it out of my shop as well. I'm tired of messing with it. Alright, that should do it. Okay, this is looking pretty decent. Got a decent yield going on in here. Gold's piled up on the bottom down there. Let's see if we can get it to roll around a little bit by tilting the beaker. And it does. It's loose. It's a good sign. So now what we'll do is we'll just let this gold settle out. And then get it out of there and get it into a melt dish. Get loose there. There we go. Get it into a melt dish and melt it up into a button. Get a yield so we can get this guy paid. Here's our gold. It's been settling now for about 20 minutes. We're going to get this out of here now and melt it into a button, get a yield on it. Almost done here. First, I'm going to show you the silver cell here. If you look up at my power supply, it's only reading 0.2 amps right now, and the silver cell is not full, but the amperage has dropped way off. And what's happened here is, if you look down into this anode filter here, it's got a whole bunch of slimes in it. The slimes have impeded the flow of the silver through the filter there. And so it's time to shut this down. When the current flow gets way off like that, what we do is shut it down, make some electrolyte, and harvest what's in here. Let's see here if I can pull this back so you can watch what I'm doing. what I'm going to do here is I've got a little Corningware dish with a lid on it. First I'm going to turn the power supply off, remove the connection, and then I just take a pair of tweezers here, grab a hold of the, let me see, are we getting this? Yeah. Grab a hold of the filter, just pull it out and stick it right in here like that, cover it up, and then we'll just use this paper here to cover the cell, keep anything from falling down in there, and then get this silver crystal out of here later on. Okay, I just wanted to show these. These are my silver cell anode filters. They've all got slimes in them from the silver cell operation. Probably going to be some, mostly palladium in these, maybe a little bit of platinum and a little bit of gold. So in a future video we'll be processing these filters for the slimes out of there. As you can see, just some junk that gets accumulated in the filter gets left behind as the silver is dissolved and goes down through the electrolyte and plates out. This stuff gets left behind in the filter, and it's going to have precious metals in it. I'll show how to get that out of there. Okay, now what we'll do is pull our waste container down here. I could add this to my stock pot. I've got some room in there now, but for convenience here, I'm just going to pour this solution off into this temporary container here so we can get our pure gold out of the bottom of this beaker. Here is our pure gold powder. Okay, I've got some hydrochloric acid here. I'll set the waste container in the back. We're going to rinse this gold with some hydrochloric acid now. Get those excess chemicals off of there that may be present. Doing pretty good there. This is going to turn out much better than the first precipitation was. Pour off this hydrochloric rinse now into this waste container. A little bit of gold is going to get poured off with it. Not very much. Less than tenths. But this is rinsing the chemicals, the SMB, off of our gold. Starting to look better already. Okay, now we're going to rinse with some distilled water here. Get everything beat down off the sides of the beaker down into the main mass of gold down at the bottom there. You get this rinsed out, so we can get into a melt dish, get it melted up into a button. It's starting to settle out pretty good now. When it doesn't settle very well, or if it tends to stick to the bottom of the beaker, then that's an indication that we've got some contamination in our gold. I already know that because I've done this kind of stuff before. We find this kind of material before. And there's stuff that follows this gold and is very difficult to get it out of there and get it purified. Just adds to the length of the video. got the gold rinsed off. We're going to try to get it down into the melt dish here. Carefully. Coming out pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. Yes, thank you. That went well. Alright, now what I'll do is take this pipette and we'll draw off as much of this water as we can, add it to our waste container back here. Okay, I've got most of the water, the liquid drained off of there. Now we're going to go over here to the melt table. And what we'll do is get it down here underneath the torch and get this thing melted up into a button so we can get a yield on it. Here we go. Alright, here's our button of pure gold from the jeweler's filings and clippings. Put it up here on the scale, see what we got. 51.2 grams of pure gold, probably 99.5% pure. If you remember, we started out with 160.1 grams of waste. 51.2 divided by 160.1, we've got 0.3198, or say 32% yield from that scrap. Alright, we got a result here. We got 51.2 grams of pure gold from the jeweler's waste. Yield was about 32%. So his stuff is yielding 32% pure gold. This is about 99.5 purity. It's not high purity. What I'll do is I'll make another video, and jeweler's waste has got stuff that follows the gold. There's no point in trying to purify this with the wet chemical processes. What I'll do is I'll quart it, part it with nitric, and do a complete separate refining in another video. And then we'll put this up, we'll stamp it up, get it real high purity, stamp it up, and put it on my eBay store. But for now, I want to get him paid. I think spot gold today is like $15.60. So we'll use that number to calculate how much I owe him and get some money to him. He's getting his material refined for free, and I get the opportunity to work with some actual jeweler's waste. It's a valuable experience here. So what we'll do with the silver, I'll put that in a separate video as well, and we'll process that and get a yield in another video. But for now, all I'm going to do is give him a 5 troy-ounce bar of silver crystal that I've refined, and then I should be square with him. He gets his stuff refined for free. I get to make a video out of refining his jeweler's waste. So that will conclude part 4 of the jeweler's filings and clippings video. Thanks for watching.